Hi everyone, welcome back to NUI Galway. My name is Joanna Walsh. We're joining you here from the International Office on Distillery Road on the NUI Galway campus. So you tuned in last week to our first Hangout session, so this is the second session. So please do send in your questions. Today we'll work through your questions as they come in. So just to start with, we'll do some brief introductions. You've met Ronald last week, and this week we'll introduce you to Manaswi. So away you go.
Well, first of all, welcome everyone. My name is Manaswi. I'm doing a master's in international finance here in NUI Galway right now. In my undergrad, I did electronics engineering. So it'll be great to talk to you, and we can work through your questions as they come along.
Good. And Ronald, if you want to do a brief recap of who you are and how you found your way here.
Myself, Ronald Saraswat. I am pursuing my MC in Neuropharmacology from School of Medicine, Department of Pharmacology and Therapeutics. And I have done my bachelor's from Delhi University. So before coming over to NUI Galway, I completed my bachelor's from over there. I took a break in between. I was doing some business and some work over there, and then I continued my studies over at NUI Galway. And here I am, and any questions that you might have, we'll discuss it now, and Manaswi will be introducing you to the work aspects that we have on offer in Ireland and how you can do the same as well.
Yeah, as I mentioned, my name is Joanna Walsh. I work here in the International Office. So we're the office that you contact if you have any queries, if you need a letter of acceptance, if you've been offered and you're about to apply for your study visa, you could contact myself for international admissions at nuigalway.ie, and we can help you with any of the documentation you require. Now, as I mentioned last week, we're happy to report that the study visa applications, the Study Visa Processing Centre in New Delhi is up to date on processing the applications, but we do expect it to get quite busy over the next few weeks. So as always, our advice is to start your visa application as soon as you can and go through the motions, have all of the requirements ready so that you'll be here in good time. So do remember that there is a 3-week cutoff. That is that the start date of term, which here is early September, if that occurs within 3 weeks when you go to apply for your study visa, they could immediately reject your application. So keep that in mind and try to apply in as much time as possible and give about 5 to 6 weeks processing time. So now is really the time to get started on that process. I don't know, guys, if you have any advice to offer on that particular topic, applying for your study visa.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't yet applied for your visa, I would say that it's the exact time as Johanna said, because it takes a bit of time, and in case there are some documentation which is needed by the visa office, you might need to arrange that as well. So it needs time and all of it, because of right now, most of the Irish universities, they are taking in students, and there's a lot of load in the embassy as well with the applications that we have right now, over there. So it's really a good time to apply if you haven't yet, and within this week or maybe next week, do it, and your visa will be processed in most of the instances within 4 weeks or 5 weeks maximum, because for myself, I received my visa within 4 weeks of application, and then I got around a month to actually arrange my things to coming to Ireland. So yes, it's a good practice to actually apply for a visa before end time. And also, if you arrive here early, you can explore the city and get to know about the prospects over here in terms of accommodation and how to settle in yourself over in the city as well. And Manaswi might have.
Yeah, I think I can't stress this enough, because I have learned this from personal experience. As you know, Joanna, they would never accept any application that is after the 3-week period. So if you're starting in September, 3 weeks before that, if you don't apply during that time, they would straight away refuse your application, and there is no way of getting back to them. I was recently in the pre-departure briefings in Delhi, and the visa officers were there who told me that they were talking about 2 or 3 weeks period when there were about 100 applications last year. This year it was 250 during that time. So they're really under pressure. So if you can apply, just apply as soon as possible.
Yeah, I have heard too that they have additional staff in place this year to deal with the increase in applications. So that's good news. And as I understand, they're also publishing the visa outcome decisions on a more regular basis. So this all helps. But I know from my own experience, it can be quite nerve-wracking as the date draws close and you want to book your flights and you're waiting for the result to be posted up online, so as early as possible. Now, we said last week we would focus for this session on jobs. So congratulations, everyone. You will have your offer. You have found your master's here at NUI Galway. You have a plan ahead. And I know a lot of students are very interested in the employment opportunities once they arrive and how to go about that. And I guess just to highlight that your master's, it's quite an intense program. You have 1 year and of course the benefit of a 2-year stay back, but you have 1 year and that year gets off to a very quick start. All of a sudden you have assignments and everything starts happening. So I guess I wanted Manaswi to maybe talk about how he approached the search for jobs and how to look for jobs, who to go to, who can help you with this, and just his personal experience. And in the meantime, if anyone has any questions, please do post them up and we can deal with them as we go through this session. But for now, honestly, if you'd like to talk about the job search.
Thank you. So job process in India is very different from Ireland, specifically because of one particular step, which is the online application. In India, if a recruiter comes to your college, they would usually hire you before they leave your college or university. Whereas here, recruiters would come in, they would give their presentations, and they would tell you where to apply online. This really makes it a bit difficult, and for people who are used to the other process in India. So really, the most important thing is to have a great CV, and that's the first impression that you're going to put on that online application. And there's lots of resources that you can use. For example, there's a career development center here, the CDC. They conduct CV clinics. You can go to them and you can show your CV. There could be recruiters there who would look at your CV, and they would also show you the way you can improve it. So that would be the first step that I think you should focus on. Once you get through the online application process, the interviews are really very similar in the sense that there would be multiple rounds. You'll go to the company and multiple rounds there. The interview is a bit different. In India, they would mostly focus on the technical aspect, how much you know about what you're studying about, whereas here it's more related to your personality. So they do what's called a competency-based interview, where they would ask you questions about specific instances. For example, let's say in the job description, they say that they're looking for someone who's a good team player. So you can give them examples of how you work well in a team. And so just preparing things like that are mentioned on the job description will give you a really good start. And really the most important thing is to keep trying, because if you apply to like 30 or 40 different places, then you can expect to get a positive response. Whereas if you just apply to 2 places or 3 places, it's going to be very difficult, and you would be really lucky if you get an offer from just applying to 2 or 3 places.
And you could be lucky. I guess just to also bear in mind that events start happening quite quickly once you come onto the campus. So the Career Development Centre can have events on a weekly basis where employers are coming onto the campus, and they may be looking with graduates with marketing experience 1 week or another area the next week. But the very first jobs fair happens, I think, in October. Yeah, so just to be mindful of that. And I guess, what was your approach to that first jobs fair?
So really the thing where you have to go, it is the one event that you can't miss, because you're going to meet almost all recruiters, and you'll be able to directly talk to them, ask them about positions, ask them what they're looking for in candidates. And so go to the Career Development Center, find out when this job fair is happening, register yourself, or maybe you can just go in without any registration. Also attend all the presentations. So jobs fair would be happening just one day, but there would be presentations going on all around the year. So there would be companies that would come in, give you presentations, tell you about their company, tell you about the kind of job, kind of people they're looking for. And the really good thing is you can personally talk to people who are presenting their company. So you can go and tell them about your profile. You can tell them how you can fit in. You can also network through these events. You can ask them for their email ID, LinkedIn profile, and you can connect with them directly there. So really, in addition to the online application, you also need to look at the networking aspect. And this is the first kind of layer of networking that you can get into. So talking to recruiters, getting their contacts, and trying to getting the conversation going, and trying to get as much as you can out of it.
Very good. Have you anything else to add?
This was, yeah. So basically, I haven't started any job applies as of yet, and it has been very insightful for me as well, because I was very much focused into my course right now, and I couldn't find time to actually go out and look for jobs. But yeah, that's very handy advice. Honestly, thanks for that, for me as well. And I would think that it will help people who are coming over now as well, who'll be looking for jobs. And yes, definitely there are job fairs over here. And the networking part, I have learned about it from others as well, that networking is very much required when you are looking for a job over here. And as compared to what Manasvi said, I would like to add to that not just your technical terms that you have, technical skills that you have, companies over here also seek for your personal activities as well. And I can focus more into that as well. So it's actually they're looking for an overall personality, which is sound in each and every way, which can show competency in each and every aspect of your personality. And that's what NUI Galway offers as well. It has so many workshops going on, so many clubs and societies that you can participate in, and that adds up to your networking as well. And you can add up into your CV the experience that you have over here, the volunteering experiences and all that stuff. It adds up into your job prospects. So, for example, I just recently gave an interview with Tote Ireland, and it's not a full-time job. It's just a part-time job I'm looking for. And it's related to Galway races. And when I when I went for the interview, this is my first interview within Ireland, and when I went for the interview, I actually noticed that it was much different of how it used to be over there in India, because asking me personal questions about how it is over here, how I'm finding Galway as well, and Ireland. He wanted to know about myself, how I deal with things over here. So that's a lot that they require as well. And getting to know people, talking with them will definitely help you out with the same.
Yeah, I think sometimes, I know from my own experience, it's your instincts they seem to be looking for. So how would you approach a situation? What would you do? That gives, I guess, some insight into you as a person and how you might bring something to a team.
Yes.
Okay, so we've quite a few questions have just come in the last few minutes, so we'll address a few of these now. There's a question, thanks Geetha, in relation to if you don't have your final mark sheet. Actually, this query has come up in the office on a few occasions this week. How can you apply for your study visa? Well, I know from our perspective, we've had the query that students were able to access online their final results, and some students also were able to submit a letter from their university confirming that was their final result and that they were finishing up. So we have referred it on to the program directors just to make sure that they will accept that. I don't know, in terms of the study visa process then, will they require your graduation transcript before they process?
Not really.
Okay.
When I was in Delhi, I think they mentioned something called an approval in principle scheme.
Yeah.
and you can really give them all other mark sheets except the last one. And you have to, once you get your study visa, they will tell you that it is approved in principle, conditional upon you submitting your final
graduation
mark sheet. Yeah.
Okay, because I know the approval in principle scheme also means that you can hold back on paying the full tuition fee until you have been approved, and then at that point you can pay the tuition fee in full. So I hope that helps. Now there's quite a few other questions. Are there any part-time jobs in Galway? Well, yes, there are part-time jobs in Galway. Finding them and which one that suits you is the question, or can be challenging. So I guess there'll be a few positions on campus in terms of tutoring undergraduate students, perhaps working in the Students' Union, helping out with the Students' Union shop. There's various cafes and that on campus. But in terms of other part-time jobs, if you go out into the city, there's hotels, restaurants, pubs, shops. So I think it's worth looking through the shop windows or inquiring within to see if they have opportunities. I know I myself, when I was in college here in Galway some years ago, I worked part-time in the local cinema. So I was lucky to get that job, and then I kept onto that job throughout the course of my years in Galway. So I don't know, have any of you had any experience of part-time jobs in Galway?
Yeah, I worked in Eastern Tandoori restaurant as a waiter. So I'd never had any previous experience with that, but yeah, I was lucky to find a job with that. And that too I found through networking. One of my friends, she was working over there, and then she left the job and I got to get the job as well. But now I'm not working over there though. I would say if you have any kind of experience over there in India, it will work over here. So just get like a letter of like an experience letter from wherever you have worked from, and you will find that well, like it's a very different working environment over here, and the jobs that you might not do in India, you will like happily do it over here, and the pay is well as well. Like you get a minimum wage for your work hours, so no matter what job you do, you will definitely get paid a minimum wage. And jobs, I would say, get your documents right. You will need like for having a part-time job, you will need a PPS number over as well. So it acts as your like tax transaction number. I don't really know how it works, but you will require a PPS number. So once you find a job, most of the jobs they require a PPS number beforehand. But if you go over there and you get selected, you can ask from them that I need to apply for a PPS number, and they'll give you a document, and you can collect the document from university as well that you are a student over here.
The international office actually give you the letter to apply for a PPS number. So that could help. Okay.
So
now there's quite a few. So what are the job prospects for freshers in Ireland?
Well, yeah, actually, I wanted to talk about this because you would be coming in at the perfect time when you will have a 2-year extension. This is a very big problem that I was facing when I met recruiters. I personally have no experience, and I was looking at graduate programs here. So people who are freshers and have no job experience, they usually start with a graduate program here. And the problem I was facing was we had a 1-year extension, and most of the graduate programs are 2 years long. So they would not even consider you because you don't have a 2-year stay back option. But now, because you have that option, you will have these jobs open to you. So whenever you come in, go to the jobs fair, go to employer presentations, usually they come in for graduate programs. So you shouldn't have any problem finding them.
Okay, so that's the freshers. Okay, so there's a further question. What would be the tentative date for such a jobs fair? I recall last year, I think it was towards the end of October, but what we can do afterwards is I'll post up a link to the Career Development Office website, and you can check through the timetable there of all of the events. So that's where you can keep in tune with which employers are due to come on campus, which events. Of course, you can go in and book your one-to-one appointment to get help with your interview skills and a CV workshop as well. And just to also highlight that the Career Development Office representatives from that service will be here at the orientation on the 31st, Thursday, the 31st of August. So there's a session specifically for postgraduate students. So you can join that session and indeed ask questions that day. But we will advertise all of the events, so you will be well informed beforehand when the jobs fair is happening on the campus. Okay, so How are the job opportunities for info systems management? I'll just comment on that one first myself, because I know that that particular program, is it info systems or business analytics, there's quite good links to SAP.
Yeah.
And I know some of the
have
students even already have secured posts there.
I have a friend who got the offer from KDB Bank. What's it called?
KBC Bank.
KBC Bank, yeah, KBC Bank, and he was the first from his to get a job over here, and he got his job even before completing his like second semester. So like if you're competent, he had like previous experience though. He was not a fresher. But if you're competent, actually, he applied into a competition within the course. There was a competition within the course, and he got the first prize for that, and that's how he landed a job. So just like for that matter, be active in your class, and you can find something over there as well. That's one thing.
That's actually a great point. I wanted to point this out. So all the students who are coming here, you should focus on performing the best that you can. So, for example, in my case, I was able to network with the company that I would be working for through my professors. So if you have a good grade, you're performing well, they would like automatically try to find positions for you, because most of the professors and lecturers here have great contacts in the industry. And if you can show them that you're hardworking, they would definitely work towards getting you a job. So that's a very good point.
And for those particular courses, I know for the info systems management, as I understand, a part of that is a project for industry. So of course, when you're doing a project such as that through your course, you're getting, I guess, direct interaction or direct access to the company, so they can see through the project how strong your skills are. And yeah, from another perspective, then when new companies come to Galway, and I know of a new software company that opened up in Galway recently, and they were looking to recruit over 100 staff. One of the first places they come to is the university, and they look to the classes. So it may be marketing, it may be IT, but they will go and check in that class and see who's available and present to the class. So a lot of the opportunities will be there on campus, and a lot of the interaction can take place on the campus. Okay, so that's the info systems. What is the average compensation range for a full-time job completion? Okay, so maybe Manaswi, I know you have had some experience in terms of getting residency and what salary you need to be on, if you wanted to give some information about that.
So during the first 2 years of your extension, it really, there is no lower limit to the salary. So whatever job you get offered, you can take it. But if you're looking for a work permit, you need to get at least 30,000 euros every year. That's the lower bound. So if you are looking to get a work permit directly, try to find jobs that are paying you more than that. And it is not very difficult, but at the same time, graduate programs can sometimes pay around the 25,000 range. Really try to talk to the HR and try to explain your situation. They might be able to bump up the salary as well for your work permit. So yeah, it also depends on what kind of course you're doing. So if you're doing accounting, it would be very different from marketing or engineering, or if you're doing medicine, if someone is doing medicine, it would be very different. So it depends on your particular course.
Yeah, I know there was something in the news just in recent days, and I saw a post on Facebook advertising a starting salary for an accountant at 100,000. So I think I'll be re-looking at which course I may need to follow up and do. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, accountants are quite well paid, but it depends on the level of expertise. And I guess it also depends on whether you might already have experience at home or you are a fresher. So in terms of the graduate scheme and some of the companies, have you any experience of what the starting salary would be there?
So I am starting in a graduate role, and I am being compensated 30,000 euros. So I could get a work permit. Yeah. Sometimes possible to get a work permit if you're fresh out of college and you get 27,000 euros. But really, if you are looking for the work permit, you need to move to 30. And graduate roles can, for example, companies like KPMG, Ernst & Young, and big accounting firms, they would have a set standard for salaries. So there's not much moving around that number. But I think you should not focus on it as much right now because you have that 2-year extension. So people who are freshers, you should focus on building your experience. So try to use those 2 years to get experience, and then you can easily get into a job that will get you a work permit.
Yeah, I would also like to add up into this, like for the 2 years extension that we have, like it's not really a complete 2-year extension. So it's more about like 1-year extension, and then they will provide you another year of extension. With the details that we have on the Irish government site, embassy site, it says that only if you are working towards getting a proper job, then you can achieve the 2nd-year extension. So I would I would say that you should go through those details, and actually, if you are staying here for 2 years, you're planning to stay here for 2 years, the goal that you have, like of finding a job, and you have to show it to the embassy as well that you are looking for a job as well. So you need to have proof for that. So you won't be getting, like, in case like you graduate and you don't find a job within 1st year of your choice, you will have to show that you are actually looking for a job in your particular field area as well. And it cannot be just like any job, and it's supposed to be your job. So just keep that in mind. Just I would like to add this up as well, because recently graduating, I was looking into the same, and I just realized that I have to work towards the particular field that I'm working in to get the extension next year if I need it. So yeah, that would be handy.
Yeah, for that, it would be great to look for graduate roles right when you arrive here. So there would be the job fair around October or sometime around that. So try to find graduate roles. So once you're finished with your degree, you have a job to go to.
Yeah, so there was a query then similar to that, but just in relation to the business analytics program, the starting pay for the business analytics course. Now, I would suggest if you wanted to check into this, you could also look at the SAP website, look at job opportunities in Ireland, and check and see what kind of salaries they're offering, how much experience they're looking for, and what the different salary scales are. Because I do know that a lot of the business analytics students this year have gotten positions in SAP. So that could be one good search you could do on that company and see what salaries they're offering. So there's, I think, irishjobs.ie is one of the websites where you can see opportunities. A few other questions coming in. Is there any opportunities for joining a lab, even if there is no work experience, just completed undergraduate course? Okay, so lab.
So it depends on what kind of lab you're looking for. Basically, if you get over here in NUIG, most of the professor and the lecturers, they have projects going on within themselves. Basically, they're funded for a research project, and there are usually PhD students under them who work for their degrees as well. So here, of course, so for example, I'm pursuing a senior pharmacology over here, and during the last semester that I'm pursuing right now, and I'm just about to finish it as well. So within the last like 3 months, you'll have to work in the lab. You'll get to work in the lab, and it depends on particular courses as well. So for my course, I'm working in a lab for like past 8 weeks, and I have to submit my thesis as well. So for that matter, if you're looking forward to get into a PhD or a research position into the university itself, there are many offers over there as well. So for my course, we recently had a job opportunity as a research assistant over here within the Department of Pharmacology. So you'll have to keep in touch with your professors and lecturers. They will usually update you of the same. If you have some funding for yourself to do your own research, you can apply for that as well. Also, there are scholarships for PhD students and like fellowships which you can take and apply for, and they are mostly considered as a job only because you get paid around 1,600 euros, 1,200 to 1,600 euros per month for that, and that's your stipend for that of working in the lab, and you also work towards your PhD degree with that. And you have research assistant roles as well, as I mentioned earlier. and you can actually look for those. And I would say that keep in touch with your lecturers, tell them that you are actually looking for roles like that. And as Manasvi said earlier, be competitive in your studies as well, because if you are good in your studies, obviously your lecturers or your directors would be looking forward to keep you in to the lab, so that you actually have your inputs into the research as well, because they're usually looking for students to help them with their research projects. So yeah, if that's the question that you asked, or maybe something else.
Yeah, and I think once you're on the campus, you're in a very good position. There's various research centers in biomedical engineering, data analytics, so you have direct access to the experts in their fields on campus, so you can connect with those and interact. So use your time wisely. Now, there's quite a few questions coming in. There's a question in relation to mechanical engineering after the master's degree. What is the scope? So our School of Engineering here on campus is the largest school of engineering in Ireland. The facility itself is very impressive. It's a living laboratory, so that you learn about engineering and how a building should work, a futuristic building should work once you go into the facility. The engineering job prospects then, again, with the jobs fair, you would have particular events on campus where engineering firms meet with prospective employees. So they want to meet with engineering students to discuss opportunities. So you will have all of those opportunities once you start your course to go to the jobs fair, but to also target those companies, those engineering firms that will be visiting the campus, to make sure that you meet with them. I don't know, have you anything in addition to that on the engineering positions?
Yeah, mostly it would depend on how well you can connect with employers when they're here. So employers, yeah, just log on to the CDC website. They would have events. Like I was going to almost 1 or 2 employer presentations every day during the first 3-4 months. So there will be lots of events, lots of companies that you might be interested in, but always keep a lookout for them. Try to contact them, try to attend their presentations. They'll tell you about jobs, and really it depends on how competitive you can be, how well you can perform, and other than that, a job shouldn't be a problem.
Now, we have another question coming up. Many of us are struggling with accommodation. Can you suggest how we go about it? Are there other websites like Daft, Rent.ie reliable? Okay, so first things first, don't panic. I know you're in a difficult position in that you're trying to look for accommodation, but you're not actually in the city yet, so you can't put a deposit down and you can't confirm anything. Usually what students do is book into a hostel for the first couple of weeks to give yourself an opportunity to look when you come to the city. But I appreciate then that can be a very busy period when you've just arrived and you're staying in the hostel, and as well as starting the university and starting your course, you have the house search to do as well. Yeah. But yeah, I guess don't panic, don't. The student residences, as advertised, are full up at present. Now, the Irish students, towards late August, Irish students get the results of their exams. So some of those students will have booked a spot in a student residence, but those spots may become available. So keep in touch with the accommodation office to find out if there might be any further availability, but that would be later on in August. Now, that's your student residence. In terms of the private rented accommodation, that means that you're paying your landlord on a monthly basis and you're possibly sharing a house with some other classmates. So book into the hostel and give yourself maybe 2 to 3 weeks to look for a place to live. If you guys want to share your experience.
Yeah, I would like to add, as in our previous video, we just said that arriving early is the best bet to find accommodation early over here as well. So for me, I arrived early last year. I was here 23rd of August, and I found my accommodation 24th of August, just one day, and I was there. And that part was played because of networking as well. I talked to people on the streets, and because, as we already have discussed, that people are very friendly over here. You can actually talk to them and ask them for helps. So I met a person from Delhi itself, and he told me about a place that was available. So I didn't have to look hard for it. But as I have experience over here, if you are coming over here early September or late August, you will be able to find accommodation not so very like hard. And I would say there is a Facebook group, househuntinggalway.ie, not .ie, it's
For some
yeah,
people.
for some people, yeah. House hunting Galway for some people. So
yeah, so
basically, people usually post ads for their apartments, for their rooms that have that are available for taking up, and you can apply through that. You usually message them, tell them how you are, where you're from, or what are you doing in the city. Most of them, they are looking for working professionals and students, so it won't be hard for you to find an accommodation because everybody wants someone to live in their house so that the rent comes down for all of them. So you'll be like it will be easy. So don't panic. So that's the point here, is that don't panic with your accommodation. And as you arrive here, book your hostel. While you're in your hostel, go out, look at the options that you have, and then you'll be good soon enough.
Well, just as soon as you book your flight, you know when you're going to be in Galway. So book your hostel for 2 or 3 days at least. And as soon as you're here, just keep looking at rent.ie, doc.ie, keep calling as soon as the ads come up. I think there's an option to get a notification as soon as ad becomes available on these websites. So as soon as there's a new notification, call the person, arrange a viewing, and it shouldn't be a problem. It's very difficult to get an accommodation when you're in India, but once you're here, it's really straightforward. You just have to follow this process and you'll find something.
And just to also mention then that the accommodation office on campus, we do have an accommodation office, so they will have options as well. And so you could check in with them. And they also have good advice in terms of how to approach renting a house and paying your deposit and what's expected of you. So they can assist you with that also. Okay, so we'll move on to some more questions. I got an admission for International Accounting and Analytics. It's a new program. What are the job prospects of it? Okay, yes, this is a new program, but we would have an accounting program on campus previous to this. Now, the Masters in Accounting did have a CAP 1 admission criteria, and unfortunately only students that had studied accounting in Ireland were able to gain access. So this being an international accounting program means that there's easier access onto the program, but it still has the same opportunities. So I think KPMG is one of the firms that's listed on the promotional flyer. So that's where the opportunities would be there. And just to also comment that the School of Business and Economics, there's some quite high-level professors within that school that have good connections. So it pays really to check in with your professors, check in with your lecturers, and see which companies have the openings that are coming up. Again, I can post some further information in terms of a list of the companies associated with that International Accounting and Analytics program afterwards. Anyone else?
No, just keep contacting your professors as well. They would have some great contacts because I've been here for years and years, and they also do research with these companies. So they have some great connections. So if you can get in touch with them, they would definitely point you in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's a good point actually, is the research link. So if you think about NUI Galway and you think of the city being a global hub for IT, for biomed, for biotech, all of those companies have chosen Galway as their headquarters to do business across Europe. So they're there because of the wealth of graduates and also because of the research that's been conducted on this campus. So there is strong links there between NUI Galway and the industry. And indeed, when we go to model our new programs or look at what subjects to include, it's what the companies are looking for. That's what we have in mind. One balances the other. Okay, so I'm going to pursue Masters in Applied Science Enterprise Systems. I have 5 years of work experience. What are the job prospects?
Well, 5 years of work experience counts in itself.
Yeah.
So
the Enterprise Systems program, as I understand, it's a general. You have a bit of marketing, you have a bit of management. So it's a very good course in that. It's a good top-up course. If you already have your work experience, I know if I was going to do an additional master's, that's definitely a master's I would look at because it brings in a lot of different areas. It's similar to supply chain management. So it's looking at how a company might work better, how the processes might work better. So I think, yeah, it's an excellent course to have. But yeah, as you guys said, the 5 years work experience, you can build on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we covered already prospects for mechanical engineers. Now, this is quite a technical one. I'm a Java developer. How will the Masters in Business Analytics help me? Does having a previous programming experience help?
Yeah, it does. It does a lot, because business analytics, that's the course that SAP is linked to.
Yeah.
And almost all of the people who got recruited through SAP had some previous work experience. So having work experience is always great, because you don't have to go into graduate roles. You can directly go into experienced roles and get sponsored for a working visa. So yeah.
Yeah, and also, like you said that you are a Java developer, so basically you can actually use your skills to actually develop something for showing into the job community that is over here. So as I told earlier, one of our friends got the job for his completion. He actually developed an app for mobile phones, just from his coding experience earlier, and he didn't even actually like develop it. He actually just showed the idea that you can do it this way, and that's how we want the completion. So if you have something like any kind of experience, you can mold it in such a way that which helps in your job search, and also in relation to the course that you are doing. So whatever experience do you have, experience is basically having like inputs of your mind and put into something new. And that's what job seekers are also, like job or prospective jobs are actually looking for, like employees like that. So yeah, you can actually use your Java developing skills into that, or any skill for that matter if you have it.
Yeah, I think there's also some posts on campus, part-time computing assistant, so that could be something to look into. And in terms of the entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is, I guess, it's something that the campus really want to develop. There is a Blackstone Launchpad where students can go if they have an idea for a company or have a special skill or something to bring. And the Blackstone Launchpad can guide you in terms of a business plan, a marketing plan. And so that's free of charge, and that's open to everyone. Level for the PhDs and for those people that develop a piece of research, the technology transfer office is there to guide them how to patent their research and how to manage and commercialize their research. So even from day one, there are opportunities or I guess assistance is there to help you with your ideas and with your special skills. Okay, so I'd like to know, the Insight Center for Data Analytics Research, is it funded by NUI? How will it help me for data analytics? Interesting. Okay, so firstly, it's the Computer Science with Data Analytics program is a very popular program. So congratulations if you've managed to attain entry onto that program. Connor Hayes is the program director. So I think if you just do some research even on Connor Hayes and his connections to Insight, the Data Analytics Center, you can see what's happening there. As I understand that there is a similar Insight is on some other university campuses as well. It's shared between, but then of course you will have the specific research that's going on our campus. Again, I can do some more, find out some more about that and the particular opportunities that would be up there. But needless to say, like you have companies like Hewlett Packard, SAP, Apple is about to move to Galway also. So that Centre for Data Analytics has access to all of these companies. And if you do some research on the professors and the academics there, you can see some of the opportunities that will become available.
Yeah, I have a PhD friend who is doing his PhD from Insight Center, and recently, last year to be particular, he was transferred to Harvard University for completing his PhD. So yeah, so basically that's where he got his link to the Harvard from, and he was good in his PhD studies, so that's how he got transferred over there, and that was from Insight Center. So that's how I know about, like, I'm not related to that, but yeah, I have heard about Insight Center, that it's very like productive in terms of like new talent and the job prospects as well.
Yeah, it's a great center. When I was working with Blackstone Launchpad, which you mentioned, there was a PhD student from Insight, and they have great research that they do there. I was in finance, so I was looking at market data, and his analysis was based on Twitter sentiment data, and we were trying to combine it to come up with algorithmic trading strategies. So from what I have seen, what kind of research they do, it's really top-class research, and it's a great center, yeah.
Very good. Okay, we've quite a specific question. Hello, my course starts in September 2017, MSc in Biomedical Engineering, and if I receive my visa after a week, my course starts. Will I be permitted to attend the course? Delay is because of education loan. Okay, so, well, this is, I guess, we've been advising strongly to commence your study visa application as soon as possible. Last year, a lot of students, there was significant delays with the study visa process, and we did manage to extend the start date, so students were allowed to join a couple of weeks later. So that there was quite a number of students who had their study visa process or their study visa delayed. If it's a week, I guess for the first week, it's generally orientation based events that are happening on campus. If you did miss the orientation, I think 1 week would possibly be possible to still join your program after a week. I guess if it's going over a month, you will have missed a lot of material, and that could get challenging. And just also bear in mind, if you did miss the orientation on Thursday, the 31st of August, there's info sessions all of the following week. And indeed, you can call to the international office and they could help you in terms of your orientation and what you're going to need. Any other information on orientation?
Well, in terms of the visa, I mean, try to apply at least 3 weeks before, because even if you get into the course a week later, it's okay. But if your visa doesn't get processed, that's going to be a very big problem. That said, if you're too late, it can also be a problem. There was a student from India who joined my course in international finance, and he was about a month late, and he wasn't able to cope, so he had to go back to India. So don't be as late as 1 month, but probably 1 week is going to be okay.
Yeah, it's manageable enough. Yeah. Okay, so the prospects for the Masters in International Management. Okay, so yeah, that's actually a good question. It's a good course. One of the special features of that course is that all of the class travel abroad, study week or study field trip. And I think this year they went to Hong Kong. The job prospects, actually, if you check on the website, there's some good student testimonials. And I know we featured Janvi Shah a lot in our Google Hangout sessions last year. So Janvi was a graduate of the International Management, and she's working in AIB, I think.
Citibank now.
Citibank now in Dublin. And there was another, the previous year, I know a student from India that graduated, returned home to work as a consultant. So I guess, Manaswi, you're in the School of Business and Economics. What advice would you have on international management, or what insights?
Well, there would definitely be a lot of opportunities, but you will have to find them out. You will have to go to events, go to presentations, program suits you best, and then apply for it. Also depends on your personal experience. So you might be a fresher, you might have 5 years of experience. So everyone will have a different way forward. So it really depends on your specific scenario. Also, it depends if you want to work in Ireland or go back to India. So if, for example, you want to just get some experience, you can use the 2-year extension scheme, get some international work experience, and go to very high-paying jobs back in India. So it really depends on you. There will be lots of opportunities, but you'll have to find them out.
We'll move on. So I've booked my accommodation in Dunaris Village. Can I know about the place? Okay, so I guess, again, the distinction between the student residences and, say, private accommodation. The student residences are run by management companies. You will be staying with other students, and indeed it is. They're very secure. You should know exactly what to expect. They have their website, so you can check and see some images of what it's going to look like within the rooms. I know myself, I used to travel in from, I used to live in Salt Hill, which is about 25 minutes across the city, and I used to cycle into the campus, and I would have passed Dunaris, so it's not too far. It's over, as we said, the west side of the city. And as you come out of Dunaris, you pass by a good few shopping centres. There's McDonald's, done stores, pizza, all of the facilities are there. So it's convenient to the university, and in terms of its location, it's located actually between the university and the promenade or the sea. So I guess you have the best of both worlds in Dunaris.
Yeah, it's almost like a hostel, but much more open as well. So yes, there is also like connectivity with bus.
Oh,
Yeah, they have
yeah.
their own
Yeah.
bus service, yeah.
So you can actually, like the Dunaris bus service, it actually gets into the university itself. So you'll be able to commute very easily from that. And yeah, it's a good accommodation service. I have visited over there. I have friends over there, and it's good, but it's not as close to the university as the Core Village would be. But yeah, if you are like on a tight budget and you couldn't find an accommodation in the university itself or around the university, you can like get into the Ronald Village. It's fine enough there.
Okay, so we've got a couple more questions. What are the job prospects for Masters Information Systems Management in Ireland presently? I think we kind of covered some of that earlier.
Yeah, so for all these particular programs that are like mentioned over here, I would like to add up like these are more generic programs. So basically, whenever there is management, you're learning about management. Then there is a specific thing that like maybe international or maybe information systems. So that's where you focus in one part of your studies that you do over here. So the job prospects, it depends on what kind of job you are looking forward to in particular. So if there is just a small niche that you're looking for a job, then it might be hard because obviously there are like certain jobs which require really prevalent in the field. But then like being a generic course, you get to know about a lot of things and you can put all of this experience into different aspects and you can get jobs into different fields as well. So it's not particular to that you will get just a single kind of job. You can actually show your experience that you have learned and apply on different job prospects that you can look forward for.
And there's actually a similar question. So info systems management, is it a suitable course for a computer science grad? I think the interesting thing about the info systems management course is that it's combining your IT and your management. So you will have people in that class coming from both backgrounds. And I guess the class then can learn from each other and there's a good dynamic within the class. So I think, yeah, everyone will have something to add to the class. So I wouldn't be concerned. I think there would be other students with a similar background to you in that class.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just received an offer on the 16th of June and I paid my 6,000 euros and applied for my visa. Can I apply for any scholarships if available? Okay, so as we mentioned last week, we had a closing date on our scholarships, I think for the end of May, and we had a meeting earlier this week and we've awarded another round of scholarships. We still have 3 to award. So we just need to review our position then and see if there's any further scholarships to be reallocated. But we did receive a lot of applications for those scholarships. And I guess just to also point out, the tuition fee as it stands, it's quite economical, I guess, in comparison with some other destinations you could be looking at. So I know it's good to receive the scholarship, but the fee is not as expensive as other places. And I guess it's important to note that living in Galway is that bit less expensive than, say, major capital cities elsewhere. They say 30% less expensive than Dublin. So even if you don't get a scholarship, it's worth taking that into consideration also, that you can secure quite reasonably priced accommodation if you do a good search. What do you think?
Yeah, yes, same.
Okay, so I think we have covered most of the questions. So we will have another 5 minutes to go. So I guess, guys, if we don't see any more questions coming in, we could summarize everything or just give some final advice, and then we can organize another session, hopefully for next week or the following week, just so that anyone else that didn't get to ask their questions today can ask them, or indeed you can send them into the international office and we can try to help. So, there's one more coming in. Are the results of the Sir Peter Frere scholarship announced? If not, when will it be disclosed? We actually still have, I think, 3 of the full fee waiver scholarships to be announced. And we had one last meeting to do the final of the partial fee waivers. So there are still full fee waivers to be awarded. So we hope we're having a meeting again this Monday to finalize that. So hopefully next week we'll have the final results. Okay, so then just to finish up, if you want to start, Ronald.
Yes, so even if you're looking for a scholarship, I would say don't delay with your visa application anyhow. Just because because there are just 3 scholarships that are to be announced. I would say, as Johanna said earlier, that as compared to other places, NUI Galway and Galway city itself, it's very much economical when compared to other options abroad to study abroad. It's a 1 year program, master's degree, so you will save on that as well. It's a great experience. I didn't get a scholarship, like I did get a scholarship for a part of it, but yes, for the overall experience that I have had here, it's just brilliant experience. And once you arrive here, you get to learn about so many things. And for myself, it was my first time outside of the country, so I got to learn a lot. I become independent after coming over. Other than just the studies, I got to learn about so many things. Got to know about the international community, other cultures, Irish culture, how to communicate with everybody else, and it has developed me in certain ways which I wouldn't have thought about of earlier if I wouldn't have moved over here. So yes, there are many things that you don't just learn from your course, but your study abroad experience as well. For most of those, I would also advise again this time that you can actually look forward at Education in Ireland blogs, and there are very the queries that you have had here. Much of them queries are actually listed onto those blogs as well. There's also a blog run by NUI Galway, so you'll be able to address check out your queries over there. Maybe the writers or people over there might reply to your queries over there as well. So you'll get to learn a lot through that. And I would say your experience over here would be brilliant if you keep your mind open and yourself welcoming enough for the new environment that you're in. And for the university, it's a great university. You'll love it after getting over here. Just make sure that you focus into your studies as well, because that's the main purpose that you are here for. Jobs would be there. If you are competent enough and you are able enough, you'll definitely find jobs. And it might get hard a bit, but you will find it. I'm in that phase now that I have completed my master's. I might look into a job prospects and or different things. Also, I would like to add up into the same that if we have gained education from an international university such as NUI Galway, you'll be able to apply not just in Galway or Ireland. You can apply into other countries as well. So that's one aspect that you can look into as well. So having such an experience and international quality education, that will all add up into your CV, and it will be fruitful for you. As Manasvi would like to add up, he's already found a job.
Yeah, I'll just summarize. Just focus on your studies. Try to perform as well as you can. Keep networking. So attend all the presentations. Attend the jobs fair. Keep tabs on what the Career Development Center is doing. They will have lots of events, CV clinics, and things like that, where you can meet recruiters, talk to them. Also, network through LinkedIn. So if you don't have a profile there already, just set up your own profile there. Contact your previous students, so alumni who have already done your course. You'll find them on LinkedIn. They would be very helpful. They would all, if you have any queries, they would be able to answer them and guide you, particularly for your course. Keep contacting your professors and lecturers, and yeah, just as much network as much as you can. Then, if you have time, also try to join any society or club that is interesting for you. So, for example, I was part of the finance SOC, and they were doing investments, which was an area of interest for me. So there's lots of societies here. You will definitely find something that you want to work in the future, and so try to be a part of that. And yeah, good luck. Hope it works out for you. And
yes, and there are definitely volunteering opportunities as well. So we have discussed this all in the previous video mostly.
Yeah.
You can check out our live one broadcast, which happened on 23rd of June. So most of these queries related to living in living and student experience in NUI Galway is discussed in that. And do we have any more questions?
No, we're all good to go now. Thanks everyone for today. I think today's session was very beneficial in terms of the jobs prospects. I know even I have learned a lot on how to approach it and what to do. So thanks to both of you for being involved. I'm sure there will still be questions, and we still, of course, want to keep in touch with everyone. So we will schedule a further session. We may take a week or so before we do that. So keep posted to the Facebook page. And I have to also thank not only you guys, but the other students from India on campus now have been very helpful to all of you to answering your questions. So they are a very good resource as well for you. You can ask them exactly what it's like or about their experience. So thanks to them for that. And thanks to you guys for today. So we'll talk to you again soon, and we can post up the link so you can access this in case you missed any of our answers.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.